Happy 2022, everybody. We are back. This is the Brew Party Podcast. Hold on just one second here. Oh, that's gorgeous, isn't it? That is just gorgeous, isn't it? Episode 93 of the Brew Party Podcast is here. I'm your host, Andy Hopper. You guys know that, or I hope you know that by now. If not, if it's your first time tuning in, welcome to the party. Tell a friend who tells a friend. Let's bump these numbers up, baby, because Lord knows they need it. But this is this first show of 2022. I guess technically Maloney's Moneyline Week 16 was right at the deadline. We recorded in 2021, released the morning of 2022. But this is the first official episode we're recording in 2022. We're calling it the first one. And it is a hell of a topic. So NFL Week 17 just got wrapped up tonight with the Steelers and their big win over the Cleveland Browns in Big Ben's final game at Heinz Field. I mean, all but said that he is retiring at this point. Got pretty emotional. He's walking off the field. Also, threw up the double rock sign, did this. Him and Aaron Rodgers did that. What is it with old white QBs? Is this is old white dudes? This is the go-to? Absolutely, that's what it is. But that was just funny. I thought it was funny, both of them walking off the field in consecutive weeks doing this fucking bullshit. But anyway, good for the Steelers, even though I had the Browns. Brew had the Browns. Not a great year, 2021, of Brew with his picks, 22 and 27 against the spread so far in NFL primetime games. We're going to keep it going through the playoffs, see if we can get to 500. Thanks to everybody who's tailed. I don't blame you if you had started fading. Wish I would more than I did. Actually, it's like every time I pick against him, it loses. I should have rode with Mr. Maloney this week, who had another nice week. I believe he goes 5-3. I, of course, couldn't follow up my 7-1. I go a nice 2-5-1, absolute lock for me to lay an egg after I have a good week. Actually, that ended my streak of being positive. I had, I think, 2 5-3s in a row, and then a 7-1, and then now 2 5-1. So got to battle back. Got to get back even with Maloney, because I think he just took the lead back from me on this season of Maloney's Moneyline. So before we get into this episode, with a very good friend of mine, a very good friend of the program, that it's right, it is Mr. Brian McArdle, the head honcho over at From the Stands College Sports, one of my good friends. I do a weekly show with him and our guy Tom Scavetta with that same name, From the Stands College Football Game Day Show, releases every Friday. From the Stands Sports on YouTube, at From the Stands US on Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook at From the Stands Sports as well. But Brian is a South Florida native. He is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and they were quite possibly the biggest story in the NFL this weekend. I mean, maybe not the team, but definitely one of their players, I guess now former players. That's right, Antonio Brown has a meltdown. Antonio Brown meltdown. Getting the title of the episode in here real quick, huh? So the Antonio Brown meltdown had a disagreement with Bruce Arians and the coaching staff on the sidelines. We don't know what happened 100%. Obviously, we can only, we have information from what we've read, what Ian Rappaport has said, what other articles have said. Obviously, we weren't on the sidelines. We don't know exactly what the situation is. Antonio Brown says one thing, the Bucs are saying another thing. It's a very much he said, she said, who said what situation. But I get Brian on because he is a Buccaneers fan. He lives in South Florida. He is definitely more plugged in to that world and the team, the fans, what the media are saying about it, at least local media, than I would be up here in Illinois. So Brian joins the show to kind of break down the situation, what happened. We both talk about what happened, kind of set the scene, what it means for the Bucs going forward, if there's anyone to blame for this situation, what is next for Antonio Brown, what is next for the Buccaneers, how do they recover from this, who steps up, who fills that spot, as you know, the Buccaneers, Chris Godwin's on IR, Leonard Fournette on IR, Scotty Miller still working back from an injury, O.J. Howard still working back from an injury. They are a very, very depleted receiving corps, now missing their number 2 and number 3 receivers. Obviously, they still have Mike Evans. They still have Rob Gronkowski, who's been proven to be Tom Brady's favorite target over the years. There are pieces there, but they definitely are not as healthy as they would like to be on the offensive side of the ball in Tampa Bay. And we just get Brian's thoughts about this. I want to thank him once again for joining the show. This is the first time he's joined the party to talk NFL. Normally we have him on as our college football guy because he's very knowledgeable about both. But this is an awesome conversation. It's a quick one. It's a 30-minute conversation. I think that is more of the format I'm going to be trying to go with in 2022. I know the past few months I have been lacking with getting out interview episodes. I know it's been mostly Maloney's Moneyline. I know I need to be more consistent. The new schedule, I should probably get into that. So every Tuesday morning, we will be dropping a new interview. Hopefully a new interview. Maybe sometimes it'll be just me again. And then Fridays, throughout the end of the football season, we will continue doing Maloney's Moneyline on Fridays. At least Fridays for the time being. That could change. So I've accepted a new job. I'm stepping out from behind the bar. I'm going to be joining the sales world at a car dealership here in town. So my hours are going to be a little bit different. I'm hoping I'll have more time in the evenings to record more interviews and have more time to edit and just have more time for this podcast, because I definitely could feel myself kind of slipping and not getting as much time. Just I've been putting in a lot of hours at work, trying to save a bunch of money. We got another kid coming through. This opportunity kind of came out of nowhere with this car dealership. I figured it is a step towards potentially a better life, potentially a better career. So I might as well try it. Also, it'll be more of a 9 to 7 or 5 or whatever type of deal. So I'll be able to be home most evenings and hopefully get more content out. Obviously, I've got 3 other shows as well. Recorded an episode of a new podcast that doesn't necessarily have a name yet, or the name's still in the works. Got to figure that out. So pretty much one of my resolutions in 2022 is just to have more time to speak into this microphone again, because I feel like I fell off a little bit. Obviously, we still had the weekly stuff with Mr. Maloney, and that will continue as well. But one thing I do miss about this podcast was, getting interviews and talking to people that I never thought I'd get the chance to talk to. And I think I got lazy with that. I got a little complacent. You have a couple people say no, or a couple people say yes, and then not do it, and it kind of hurt my spirits a little bit. I won't lie, but big guests are coming. I'm going to be reaching out to more people. This is 2022 is the year of the brew party. We're taking this shit off. It's something I wish I did a little bit better in 2021. We had a great run in 2021. I'm not going to sit here and act like it was bad. Could it have been better? Yes. Will it be better in 2022? Will I have more time? I'm absolutely hoping so. I'm hoping for more great interviews. I'm hoping for just more content. In general, more time for me to do this stuff, because I do genuinely enjoy it. This has been one of the most fun things I've ever done. We're going on 2022, I guess. We'll technically be in the end of February. We'll technically be season 3, the beginning of season 3 or year 3 of the podcast. I know I label it as seasons. It's not really a seasonal. It's pretty much a year by year show, but we're inching closer and closer towards episode 100. I'm trying to get somebody awesome for that as well. Please help us out in the new year. If you haven't already, give us a follow on our social media. We are at the Brew Party Podcast on Facebook. We're at the Brew Party on Instagram and Twitter. Check out our YouTube, youtube.com/the Brew Party, or just throw the Brew Party in your search bar on YouTube. You'll find us there. Like this video, comment, subscribe. We've been stuck on 79 subscribers for quite a while. I'm really trying to get at least to 80. Can one person help me out? And then, of course, love to keep that going. Love to get up to 100. But big things are coming in 2022. I'll be a father of 2. That is a reminder. So if you don't like any of these takes, I don't want to hear about it. I'm just kidding. Comment, Let us know what you think of the show. As always, I thank you for the people that have been here from the beginning, from episode 1. I thank you if this is your first episode you tuned into, or however long you've been here. I just appreciate it, and anybody taking the time out of my day, or out of their day, to consume my content, because there's just, Lord knows, there's just so much shit out there that you could be watching or spending your time doing or whatever. And if you choose to spend some of it with me, whether it's just listening, watching, however, I genuinely appreciate it. Not much else I really wanted to cover here, because we do have this 30-minute interview. So like I said, every Tuesday, expect a new brew party. I'm saying it now, so I have to hold myself to it. I start my new job on January 10th, so that is right. It should be okay. And then Maloney's Moneyline through the football season. We will be, again, our live streams on Friday. Let me know in the comments if we should bring our live stream interviews back. Those were always fun. I do like this YouTube format as well. I did kind of switch because it definitely gave me more free reign on when I get to release everything. So I will be more accountable. That is my resolution. I will bring you more brew party. More brews will be consumed in 2022. We're going to talk sports. We're going to talk whatever. Maybe have some more live streams. We're definitely doing the draft show once again with our friends from Big Blue Avenue and the Girl Who Talks Sports. And Brian McArdle is joining the team for that as well. Super excited about it. Speaking of Brian, let's get you into this interview with him. We're talking Antonio Brown. We're talking Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I want to preface this before we get into this interview. We are not making light of this situation. We're not, this obviously could be somebody that needs help. There have been people that have said this is a mental health issue. I don't know the man personally. Brian doesn't know him personally, so we couldn't tell you that. We wish the best for him. We're not wishing ill on anybody, but this is one of the hottest topics of the weekend, and we couldn't not talk about it. And it just doesn't make sense. It's week 17. I don't think we've ever seen somebody in the NFL throw their shoulder pads and jersey off in the middle of a game and skip shirtless through the end zone, throwing up the deuces. So what a weekend. What a game. There's nothing like the NFL. Also, go Bears. I have to do this for a second. 29-3. Mike Glennon looked like a high school quarterback out there. Shout out to Robert Quinn. This is where I'm going to personally eat shit. If you would have told me last year that Robert Quinn would break the Bears single-season sack record this year, I would have told you you're fucking crazy. But he did. Robert, hell of a year to you, especially doing it without Khalil half the year, doing it without Akeem Hicks half the year. Absolute monster season. Fun fact, crediting Chris Long here, NFL superstar, Super Bowl champion, Chris Long tweeted this stat out. Robert Quinn broke the Bears single season sack record with a sack on Mike Glennon on Sunday. He broke the Rams single season sack record with a sack on Mike Glennon way back when he was still with the Rams. So incredible. It's like I love that the Bears won, and especially it was against the Giants. Tom, Sam, Hank, I love you guys, but it was very bittersweet to get a win against you guys. I know Tom had texted me with like 3 minutes, like it was 3 minutes into the game. The Bears were up 14-0. Sean says, congratulations on the win, and don't even say there's a lot of time left. We fucking suck. But things will get better in Giant Land, I think. But they've committed to Joe Judge. They've committed to Danny Dimes. We'll see how that works out. Speaking of being committed, I'm terrified that if the Bears beat the Vikings and finish at 7-10, that the front office is going to try to spew some bullshit that they saw improvement at the end of the year since we ended the year on a 3-game winning streak, that Nagy will still keep his job, will somehow keep his job, and it can't happen, guys. I root for them to win. I don't root for them to lose. Obviously, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, especially this year, because it really doesn't matter, but it doesn't feel like Nagy is the guy in the future going forward. There's just been so much bullshit they've had to deal with this year, but hey, We beat the 4-12 Giants. So gotta love it. 6-10 going into week 17. I think at the beginning of the year, I predicted 8 or 9 wins. So if they get to 7, I'll consider that pretty close. Came into this year not knowing what to expect at all. But here we are. So it's been a fun year of NFL football so far. I know my gambling hasn't been the best. It's been all right, but don't forget 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a problem. By the end of the year, we'll see if I need to call that number. Speaking of gambling, don't forget about our friends over at BETUS Sportsbook. They've been in the sports betting game for over 30 plus years, paying out customers in cash with integrity and great bonuses. Speaking of bonuses, 125% sign-up bonus when you use the code THEBREWPARTY. BETUS.com. That is BETUS.com. You guys know sports betting season is in full swing. We got the NFL playoffs coming up. The NBA's here. The NHL. Not MLB because there's a lockout, but they've got PGA. They've got futures. They've got a race book. They've got a casino. Any bet type you could think of, BETUS Sportsbook has it. You bet, you win, you get paid. BETUS Sportsbook. Go to BETUS.com. Like I said, promo code THEBREWPARTY for 125% sign-up bonus. All right, let's get you into this interview with the one and only Brian McArdle from the Stands College Sports, talking Antonio Brown and the Meltdown on Sunday afternoon. Thanks for being here. This is the Brew Party Podcast, episode 93. Find us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search The Brew Party or go to www.thebrewparty.com. Sorry, Brian, throwing the plugs in the intro. All right, here we go. Brian McArdle, episode 93, first episode of 2022. We are so fucking back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It is the very first Brew Party of 2022, and we're going to be joined by a very good friend of the program, joining us once again for episode 93. We are talking Antonio Brown. We're talking Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I had to bring in a South Florida resident, Tampa Bay fan, my good buddy from the Stands College Sports. You can find me and him, and also Tom Scavetta, every week bringing you a college game day show on YouTube and Facebook. Just check us out from the Stands Sports. It is the founder, the head honcho over there, Brian McArdle. Brian McArdle joins the party once again. Brian, super good to have you here after all the technical difficulties. We are rolling. But I wanted to have you on, man, to get your thoughts about what went down yesterday in New Jersey at the Bucs and the Jets game. So in the middle, I think it was the third quarter, Antonio Brown gets asked to go in the game, I think twice by Bruce Arians. He refuses both times. Arians tells him to get out. He proceeds to throw his shoulder pads and jersey onto the ground, take his undershirt and gloves off and chuck him into the crowd, and then skip across the end zone and throw up the deuces, the peace sign to everybody. So, Brian, first of all, thank you for being here. Super excited to have you back on the show. Second of all, what is kind of everybody saying about this down there in the Florida area? What are all the Bucs fans thinking about Antonio Brown right now?
Yes, thanks for having me back again on the show. Like you said, we are Scavetta-less today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably one of the wildest things I've ever seen in terms of on or off-field incidents. So, I mean, this is Antonio Brown we're talking about. It's anything he does has been shocking for like the last 5 years, but this probably takes the cake. It's from a fan's perspective. I know people are not happy. You get the old school fans who obviously, hate this kind of stuff. They're the same fans who hate, the celebrations even. So they're always going to be grumpy no matter what. I think in reality, the realists down here saw this coming from a mile away. So for us, this is more of a when was this going to happen, not if it was going to happen. And I think, to me at least, I was waiting for this, and I was just kind of hoping we would get production out of him until he had another blow up, and we did. So, I mean, we're down a lot of receiving options, but at least he did what he could while he was here. So, silver lining, I guess.
But pretty optimistic way to look at it, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, anybody that's followed the NFL, anybody that's followed, I mean, his career specifically, has probably could tell that something like this was going to happen eventually. It really was only a matter of time. There are a couple different things, I guess, to unpack here. So I guess for the past couple weeks, stuff really hasn't been going well with Brown and the Bucs. I mean, obviously, he just served like a 3-week suspension for the fake vaccine card thing. And that really didn't leave a great taste in his teammates' mouth, the front office's mouth. Apparently, he's been dealing with an ankle injury. People in his camp and himself, I guess, have said that he did not feel he was healthy enough to be playing in this game. I think he was held out of practice up until Friday, or maybe he just missed Friday's practice. Obviously, he says one thing. It's really going to be a he said, she said type of thing. Bruce Arians said that Antonio Brown never communicated that to the Bucs. It's not a good look. It's kind of a dumpster fire. But I guess you mentioned it. You're down a lot of receivers. So with Chris Godwin now out for the year, now losing Antonio Brown, who while he was there, on the year, I believe he had like 40 plus catches for 550 yards and 4 touchdowns. So it's, not the best, but that's solid production from a guy that you'd consider to be the number 3 or possibly even number 4 receiver. So what does Tampa Bay do now at the receiver position? I mean, I know obviously they still have Rob Gronkowski, they still have Mike Evans, but who needs to step up? Or I mean, really, it's week 18. I don't know if they can go get anybody to help them with the playoff push.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at the stats, they're not phenomenal, but you got to remember he's only played 7 games, maybe 7 or 8 games. So he's got halfway to 1,000 for half a season. It's about 1,000-yard season, and I don't think he leads the team, but he's, I believe, second in big plays for us down the field. He's got 20 plus yard receptions this season. It's not the highest, but I think he has the most per game on average. So obviously it's a huge piece for us to lose. As far as where we go from here, I'm not really sure, because anyone who has watched our games can see the frustration in Brady's face anytime he throws to one of our other options, which at this point is Tyler Johnson, Cyril Grayson, and I think Jalen Darden. One of them's injured or out with COVID right now, but those are our 3 guys. They're all first or second year players, so they don't have much in terms of production or time on the field to match someone, even combined, to give us the type of output that Brown is giving us. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I think a lot of people tuned in because we were losing to the Jets late yesterday or on Sunday, and probably saw Tyler Johnson drop that very easy ball right at the goal line, which would have tied up the game, and it forced us to go 93 yards in the dying minute of the game, which Brady can do, thankfully. But you never want to rely on a 2-minute drill to win a game against the Jets. As far as going out and getting somebody, I don't know. We've been lucky to do it in terms of running backs. We did with Fournette last year. We've gone and got Le'Veon Bell this year to replace Fournette, who's injured. As far as receivers go, I'm not really sure. Like, who do you go out and make Calvin Johnson for a game? I wouldn't hate it. I don't think he's looking to come back though for 2 games. I don't know. It's a baffling situation, and I'm not sure how we replace him.
I think Brady needs to get the band back together. He needs to give Jules a call. You need to get Julian Edelman
there you go.
Tampa Bay. He had said on an episode of Pardon My Take from like a week ago that he was not interested in playing, because of course they're going to ask him that question, like, hey, when was the last time Tom talked to you, or when was the last time you got a text? Now I'm sure even more. Speaking of Tom Brady, he came out after the game when he could have trashed Antonio Brown. He could have said all these things. He really took the high road and said, it's a guy that we're all rooting for. It's a guy he's a guy we've all been behind. And he really didn't say anything bad when he could have. What did you think about him, kind of standing up for Antonio Brown? I mean, really, Tom Brady's the reason that Antonio Brown is in Tampa Bay in the first place. Last year, Bruce Arians said that he knew Antonio Brown wouldn't be a good fit on the roster. He was the Steelers offensive coordinator from 2007 to 2011, so he did work with Antonio Brown a little bit. I believe he did call him a diva last year. But when Tom Brady says he wants a guy with 2 sexual assault allegations, spent less than never played it down with the Raiders, 1 game with the Patriots, yeah, let's bring him in. What did you think about Brady continuing to stick up for this guy after, being burned for another time? I guess really this is the second time he's burned him in this year in Tampa Bay, if you count the whole COVID vaccine card bullshit.
Yeah, so I think there's 2 camps here, and that is the people who are interested in what's going to happen with Brown going forward from people are already calling this a mental illness type of thing, like mental health, which it very may well be, but I don't think we should be jumping to conclusions. I think if I'm a man, I would say it probably is at least somewhat related from all the outbursts he's had. So you've got the people concerned with that, and then you've got the people concerned with winning on the field. And I think that's sort of the camp that Arians and Tom Brady fall into, despite the fact that they're out here now saying, we hope he gets the help he needs. These guys want to win football games. It's pretty black and white. Brady has stuck up for Antonio Brown twice now, to the point where he's had Antonio Brown move into 2 of his houses, living with his family, living with his kids, despite all this crazy. I mean, the man has thrown a couch out of a 5th-story window. So that's typically not the guy you want living with your small children. But Brady's vouched for him twice. Is it because he's a nice guy? Probably not. I think he just sees that Antonio Brown is an elite talent, and if you can calm him down for 4 months during the season, it's a vital piece to have, to add to your team. So I think all the talk about, the mental health stuff is probably just them kind of covering their ass because, like you said, Bruce Arians didn't want this last season. He didn't want it at all. He sits down with Brady, and then all of a sudden he's like, this is the best for our football team. Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So it's just like LeBron in the NBA. When they sit down and tell their front office to go get this guy, you're gonna go get that guy. Right. And it very well could be mental health stuff, and if it is, we're not trying to make light of that situation at all. It could also be this guy has shown a pattern of stuff like this, and nobody should be surprised as well. There are a couple different things to unpack here. If you want to go the mental health route, or even the pre-signs of, let's say, CTE, which a lot of people are saying, when that day does come, when Antonio Brown moves on, and if they're able to study his brain, that it might be one of the worst cases ever, which, that's very premature to say about a guy, still in his early 30s, right? But he has been, everybody has always said, since that Vontaze Burfict hit, a few years ago with Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh, he just really hasn't been the same. You talk about the blonde mustache, the weird hair, the cryogenic chamber burning off his feet. The list just goes on, man. But I think you brought up a good point about Brady and Arians. They want to win football games. Obviously, they won a Super Bowl last year with the guy on the team, and he caught a touchdown pass in the 31-9 victory. It just feels weird. It's just I don't even know if weird is the right moment, but it's just like, why right now? Why in week 17 in the middle of a playoff push when they very well could have used him? First of all, He's like, he just left, I think, another $1 million on the table. I don't know if you saw his incentives. I actually had it pulled up here. Oh, I thought I did, but it was like he needed 8 more catches for another 300,000, another like 2 touchdowns for another 300,000, and like 55 yards for another $300,000. I mean, obviously, if he's a guy like that, I'm sure for how long he's been in the NFL, he definitely has the money. I'm sure the million doesn't really matter to him. After the game, he got spotted outside waiting for an Uber, or that turned out to be like this dude that lives in New York that apparently drives down a bunch of different NFL players. What his on Instagram, his name is Danny Hustle Hard. You can go check that out. He went on Instagram Live with AB in his back seat. There was, I don't know. Apparently, when Antonio Brown ran off the field, just in his shirt, just shirtless or whatever, he just like ran straight to like the cops and was like, "Give me a ride to the airport. Give me a ride to the airport." And a security guard was quoted as saying, they didn't know who he was. Like, he just ran out. He was shirtless. He didn't have a wallet. He didn't have anything. So they told him no. So this was a whole, I just don't understand why this happened in week 17. Like, why he can't wait until the offseason, potentially another Super Bowl ring, to kind of do this stuff. But if you think about it, he is currently 25th all time on the NFL receiving yards list with 12,000 yards. And he's basically punted on like 3 years of his career, like 3 years, like prime years of his career. You said it earlier. He has 500 yards in like 7 games. Not a lot of receivers in the NFL right now can claim that. So what do you think is next for Antonio Brown? Do you think that this was the last NFL game we'll ever see this guy play?
So I think I've said before, yes. Not on any of our shows or anything, but just, to Bucs fans in passing, and he came back. So he's that much of a wild card that you don't really know. I think yes. I'm going to say yes again, because this time, so all the other things have pretty much been off-field incidents, and time again, the NFL has proven that they don't really care about that kind of stuff. For the most part, at least. We've seen the types of incidents that they've swept under the rug. This is the first time really where the on-field incident has directly affected the team and the teammates and the players. So if you're another owner, this is no longer something where you can send a guy to like anger management classes or something and apologize on Twitter. He quit on the team. So I don't think other owners are going to want to take a chance. This is like the straw that broke the camel's back to me, because it was an on-field incident where a team, I don't know if we can touch the 1 seed right now, but the 2 seed is very much there for the taking. And he just quit, ran across the field, threw up the deuces. So I think his time has to be done. Because if I'm another NFL owner, I don't think it's worth the risk.
Have you ever seen a player rip off their jersey and shoulder pads and just throw it towards the bench like that? I've never seen that happen, especially in an NFL game.
No, it was like something out of a WWE episode, honestly.
All right. So maybe he is done with football. He did release a rap single yesterday, like right after the game, called "Pitt Is Not the Palace," assuming he's throwing shade at Pittsburgh. Speaking of Pittsburgh, like Mike Tomlin is just a saint for dealing with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell for like 9 years. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, fan-controlled football, that new league that's in like their 2nd or 3rd year, they tweeted at him right after the game, said, "Hey," at AB, and Antonio Brown just blocked him. So maybe we see him, like the USFL is making a comeback. The XFL is apparently coming back. Like, does one of these smaller leagues take a chance on him just for star power name alone? That is, I absolutely can see one of those like leagues reaching out to him. Just, let's get a big name. Let's try to make a splash. But would he do that? I feel like he's such a diva. He wouldn't even entertain the idea.
I don't know about the USFL, but it would be interesting to see the XFL perhaps, because obviously, like you said, AB is a diva, got that kind of Hollywood vibe to him.
Mm-hmm.
XFL is run by The Rock, so I'm sure they've got connections. I'm sure they've talked to each other in passing. They're both pretty big stars. So yeah, you never know. I'm not sure. Maybe if they bring an LA team back, they had the LA Dragons and XFL 2.0, so that would let him stay in the LA area if that's a place where he wants to be. I'm not sure what kind of terms you give him though, because
Yeah, I know.
if he's gonna walk off in the XFL like that, who knows what he's gonna do? To the NFL, who knows what he's gonna do when he's on an XFL team?
Or exactly. It's like, yeah, he just did that on the defending Super Bowl champions. I don't think he's going to give a fuck if he walks out on the Dragons or like the DC Defenders or whoever. I don't know, whoever the hell it would be. But that would be interesting, and that he could be the next He Hate Me.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, some league like that would have to take a chance. Like they brought back Johnny Manziel, like that got people excited when he threw, 4 interceptions or 5 interceptions. Oh no, was that the CFL when he did that? I think that was like his.
Yeah, that was CFL.
That was the CFL game. Does the CFL bring Antonio Brown in? Who knows? I don't know. The pit is not a palace, so he's got his rap career going. He posted a picture of him like directly after, I think it was on his Instagram, the caption was just super gremlin. It was like, I left because I'm a super gremlin. And then later he put a picture of him in a Bucs uniform that said, appreciate the opportunity. So it's just been a wild last, 24, 48 hours for Bucs fans, for Antonio Brown. So so what's the Bucs mindset here then going into, week 18 and now, the playoffs? Like you said, the one seed's probably not obtainable, but you still could capture that 2 seed. How do the Bucs do that? And how do they keep their minds, on playing winning football and keep the distraction of whatever the hell this is out of the locker room?
To me at least, I assume this is probably not to this level, but I assume stuff like this is a weekly occurrence with AB in the locker room. So I'm not sure the players are going to be too much affected. We've had some, like AB aside, we've had some sketchy games, Sunday included, obviously, almost losing to the Jets. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the AB situation itself is going to hurt us too much. Obviously, on the field in terms of production, it will, but I don't think anyone's mindset is going to be changed. They all knew he was kind of crazy going into this. And you've got Tom Brady, who is sort of like the leader of leaders in the history of the NFL. Like I don't know if there's ever been a season where he just hasn't. It turns into the playoffs. Tom Brady locks shit down. And, the team's going to win the Super Bowl. So I think once the playoffs do hit, regardless of what seed they are, it's going to be Brady time. Everyone's going to be focused. And I think for the most part, they'll be fine. Well, I don't think we're winning the Super Bowl again by any chance. There's teams that are, playing a lot better than us. But as far as this incident goes, I don't think it affects the play on the field at all.
All right. Good answer, Brian. So you said you don't think you're winning the Super Bowl. Do you think you make it back and lose? Do you think you lose the NFC Championship game? What is in your mind, what does the path look like right now?
Yeah, Green Bay looks really, really tough.
I know, it pisses me off.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I think the road for us probably ends in Green Bay this season, which is unfortunate. But sorry,
can't warm weather team can't handle the frozen tundra.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even be too mad because I've seen this. I've seen so many bad games, not bad, sketchy games from us this season that I wasn't really expecting a repeat. So if someone is going to win it, I wouldn't mind seeing Rodgers get one. Obviously, that comes at the cost of us losing, but it just seems to be their season. But then again, I did say on Thursday that Michigan was going to win it all. So in college football,
keep pumping up the Packers, then, Brian.
Yeah, Packers taking it for sure.
Yeah, we definitely excited to get back on from the stands and talk about those just really unfortunate college football playoff games. I was hoping one of them would be a good game.
Right.
One of them. But anyway, so before we get out of here, we just got a little bit of time left here. So what shit. I had something else. Okay. Can you put the blame for this whole situation on one person? Is it on Arians and Jason Licht for bringing him in or not saying no to Tom Brady? Is it on Tom Brady? Is it on Antonio Brown for just being an idiot? Is it a mixture of everybody for kind of getting themselves into this situation, or what do you think about that?
I mean, I wouldn't assign blame to anyone because I think this was a calculated risk where, I mean, we talked about it earlier, Arians, his initial stance was he didn't want Antonio Brown on the team. I'm assuming the meeting, that they had after that comment was between Brady, Arians, Licht, and probably a few. I wouldn't be surprised if there's data analysts in there, and they came to the conclusion that the reward that you get is worth far much more than the risk, because when you can put him like they did on an incentives package, the risk is pretty minimized. It's not like they owe this guy $20 million now. He just walked away from an incentive-based package, and sure, we lose the production, but we're not on the hook for an obscene amount of money that made the risk like something where Bucs fans are, going to be calling for people's heads. So as far as why he's here, I think I wouldn't call it blame, but I would say Brady is the most responsible. He's had the past relationship with him, so I'm probably 100% sure he just reached out, had a conversation with AB. Like I said, he's let AB move into his house twice, so that's not an offer you give out lightly.
For sure.
So yeah, I would say Brady's probably responsible, but I wouldn't blame anyone.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good way to put it, and I didn't know what other word to use besides blame, and you threw out responsible. So good for you, Brian. So do you think if let's say the Bucs do fall to the Packers in the NFC Championship game, do you think Bucs media, Bucs fans will call back to this whole fiasco and use it as, I don't want to say an excuse, but is this where does this rank? I mean, I think you kind of answered this question earlier, but I can just see this being a top headline if the Bucs do fall in one of these games.
I think the injuries storylines are going to be, more at the top of the list here. Like I said, I think most Bucs fans knew what they were getting with AB and his antics. So the more concerning thing is just, the long list of injuries without AB. Like, if everyone was healthy right now, I don't think anyone would be even concerned about this. Obviously, he's a great big play guy. But if Scotty Miller, OJ Howard, Fournette, who's been catching a lot out of the backfield for us, and Chris Godwin, if they all weren't injured, I don't think this would affect us at all. It's still a little bit, but and also Gronk was out for 6 games, so that is pretty much our entire starting receiving production right there. So
yeah. Is there any chance you get any of those guys back for a potential playoff push? Or those? I know Godwin's out for the year.
Yeah,
I really don't know the status of the other ones off the top of my head. Probably should have looked that up. But
so yeah, Godwin is IR. Fournette is on the IR, so they're done, I would assume, unless maybe if we make it all the way to the Super Bowl, they come back. Scotty Miller they've been putting him in for a drive or two to test him out, and I think OJ Howard is maybe about to be back on the same path. So yeah, we get a little bit of production back, especially if Scotty Miller, I think, would be the biggest get back for us because he's got the similar speed to AB to kind of replace that. Mm-hmm. Like getting OJ Howard back and having Gronk back would be obviously is great, but they're not going to dice up a defense with their speed. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch. We played so many games without all these guys that I think there's not much we can do at this point. You just got to hope that Darden and Grayson and Johnson can pick it up and stop these drop balls because Brady's starting to get pretty pissed about it.
I would not want to be on the other end of a Tom Brady just yell and you can tell he gets his eyes all scrunched up, fucking pointing at you, motherfucker.
It's a death stare, man. It's not fun.
You know what just came to mind? I think Antonio Brown was just trying to copy Tom when he threw that Surface Pro tablet against the Saints. He saw Tom throw something on the sideline and figured he lives in his house, so anyway, that's really all I got for us, Brian. I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join me. Looking forward to getting with you later this week and talking some college football. Thank you for joining the party. This is the first time you've been on here to talk about the NFL, the whole Antonio Brown situation, fiasco, meltdown, whatever you want to call it. What's next for the Bucs? Can they make it all the way to the Super Bowl? We will see. But Brian, before we get out of here, go ahead and plug anything you want to plug.
Yeah, like you said earlier, From the Stands, college football. Find us YouTube, From the Stands Sports. Twitter is From the Stands US. And if you're watching this, your boy Andy is on the show with me and Tom Scavetta. So come check us out for a little bit of college football action.
Absolutely. We will be previewing the national championship game and probably doing a recap, like I said earlier, teased earlier, of those terrible college football semi-playoff games. And then some of our other favorite bowl games from the New Year's Six games. We still do have one bowl game left on the 4th, the Texas Bowl.
It's a big one.
LSU, Kansas State, baby. So, all right, for Brian McArdle, I'm Andy Hopper. This is the Brew Party Podcast. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio. We're on YouTube as well, youtube.com/The Brew Party, Facebook @The Brew Party Podcast. We're on Twitter and Instagram @The Brew Party. We're going to have way more interviews coming in 2022, more of a set schedule. I'll be talking about that on later episodes. Well, probably in the intro to this. You probably already heard about it. So we're out of here. Episode 93 of the Brew Party Podcast is live now.